So wala si Reyes, Estaloso, Cabral. Estaloso, ba't wala kang audio? Oh, you have to send me message. Estaloso. Okay. Sige. So, ang wala ay si Cabral at si Reyes. Alright. So, we will continue our lectures about community ecology. Let me just open my PowerPoint presentation. Excuse. Okay. So, wait. Let me share that. This one. Okay, I hope you're seeing my slide. Yes?
Kita po, sir.
Okay. So last time we discussed about various species. Okay, so we classified that there are keystone species, there are keystone predator, and also when we talk about controls in community ecology, we have actually three types. One would be the what they call as bottom-up control. Bottom-up control is when you manipulate the lower levels in the community structure, and that would cause an effect to the higher levels. So for example, we're talking about a trophic level, a food chain, for example. If you manipulate the lower level, by the way, what is the lower level in the food chain? The lowest level? And hindi clear eh. I don't know kung sa speaker ko lang. Ano po?
Sir, Ganon po. Producers po.
Producers. So producers are the lowest level in an ecological pyramid. So in the community structure, if we're talking about, say, a food chain, they would occupy the lowest the level. Okay. So in bottom-up control, when you manipulate the lowest level, for example, in this case, the producers, the green plants, you will have an effect on the higher trophic levels. Yun yung sinasabi sa bottom-up control. And how would you control the lowest level? By manipulating the nutrients. So for example, you would like to have an effect on the consumers, you can remove the nitrogen or the phosphorus in the soil for the producers to take, and that would have an effect on the higher trophic level. In our example previously about keystone species, in here you would see, I hope you're seeing my cursor, if you decrease, for example, the kelp. Okay, so you manipulate, for example, the density of the kelp, which is a producer. And this would cause increase in the population of the sea urchins. So when you increase the population of the sea urchins, normally that would cause much food for the sea otters. Okay, so sea otters may increase in number, but also it would have an effect on the food for the orcas. And again, this is from the bottom-up control, manipulating the lowest level of the trophic structure which will eventually change the food chain. The second type of control is what we call as the top-down control. In the top-down control, usually the predators are the ones that are being removed or manipulated, and this would have an effect on the different trophic levels, particularly on the productivity. Okay, for example, in the previous slide, you've seen the orcas. For example, these orcas are eliminated as top predator. There would be an abundance of sea otters, and if there is abundance of sea otters, the sea urchins would be depleted, and the kelp density would increase. And again, that is controlling from the top up to the lowest level, which is the producer, capable of, again, primary production. Now, in the third model, which we call as the trophic cascade model, what happens is uh, the consumers, the effect of consumers on primary production actually has an effect on various trophic levels, not only on the top or at the bottom part of the food chain. So in various levels, in various trophic levels, there is an effect on the organisms within it. Okay, that is trophic cascade. Okay, so the top-down and the bottom-up control may have a trophic cascade effect if it is propagated or even if it is influencing different levels of food chain. So that's the trophic cascade model. Now, another topic in community ecology is what we call a succession. When we say succession or ecological succession, this is the gradual change in species composition in an area following a disturbance. So for example, in this figure, you will see that through time, there is transition of species composition. So we started with, for example, a grassland or a shrub land. Then this would become secondary forest, and this would become forest with larger trees with various vertical stratification. And then this ecological succession may be autogenic or allogenic. May naririnig kang click. I'm seeing my slide, so if you have question, you have to be audible so that I can hear you.
Sir,
Yes.
meron parang extreme versions of parang ecological succession ay parang mass extinction where basically a great degree of the continent or a localized area may nakaroon ng extinction event where another species takes over as the main role. For example, yung brachyophytes and conifers used to be most dominant plant and species around the world until the a certain space rock landed in Earth, and then the next dominant plant life forms now is your flowering plants.
Was that the question? It's not very clear sa end ko. But you're talking about extreme type of ecological succession. That's what I heard. And yeah, that's possible. Okay. But again, this is still considered to be ecological succession when there are changes in species composition over time. So it may be autogenic or allogenic. When we say autogenic type of ecological succession, this is due to the internal factors. And what are these internal factors? This may include species interaction. So for example, yung sinasabi for example ni Mr. Cabildo that there are species that can really outcompete the other species. We have discussed competition, and this is considered as autogenic type of ecological succession. So another example would be if there are too much predation happening, this may cause change in the ecological succession. There was a study about recovering the riverine ecosystem by introducing wolves. How can you change wolves or change the ecosystem or the communities by introducing top predators? And remember, in ecology, we have this maxim that you are connected to another species. So we're saying there's no species that is capable of standalone in terms of function, in terms of survival. It relies on other species. And it is possible because of that effect in the entire community. So these are autogenic factors. Allogenic are those external factors like abiotic factors. So for example, if the temperature is so high, change in the species composition may happen. And we are seeing that. Because of warming of temperature, we're seeing cold tolerant species occupying higher elevation. And if you are studying, say, succession at a specific elevation, you would see changes in the species composition. And that is considered allogenic. So if there is, for example, massive flood, and this may cause death of a lot of species, there would be change in the or transition of species over time. And that is ecological succession, particularly allogenic, right? So in succession, we have different types of communities. One is the pioneer community. Pioneer community, from the term itself, this is the first community that would invade a particular environment. Okay, and what are these species? What are examples of pioneer communities after a disturbance? Can you think of pioneer species or pioneer community?
Sir, Yanan po, sir.
Yeah.
After a volcanic eruption po, may mga type of mosses po that can grow on rocks and they will start soil formations po.
Ano yan? Ano yun? Sinasabi mo?
Ay, hindi po,
Type of
mga mosses or I don't know how to pronounce it.
fossils?
Mosses.
Mosses. Correct.
Saka
Mosses are
lichens po.
considered, yeah. Correct. Mosses are considered, ganun yung audio ko, parang hindi ko marinig. Are considered pioneer species. Correct. In the figure, would you know kung ano yung nasa figure? Diniscuss ko na to last time. Ano yung nasa figure? What is this? I don't know if you're seeing my cursor. Ayan.
Lichen po yan, sir.
Correct. These are lichens. And lichens are considered pioneer species. Lichens, again, ay symbiotic na interaction ng algae at fungi. Mosses, bryophytes, these are pioneer communities. So after a disturbance, you would expect pioneer communities to colonize the area. Okay. Second will be transitory communities. So there are several communities that would follow. They're considered transitory communities or seral stages or SEER, and then until it would reach a climax community. The climax community is a stable community. It's a diverse, stable community in equilibrium with existing conditions. Okay, but climax communities again are um, or can be subjected to disturbance. Okay? Hindi sila forever na mag-exist indefinitely. Eh, maganda kung ganun, pero they may be subjected to disturbance. Now, there are also two types of succession. Primary at saka secondary succession. Pag sinabi natin primary succession, this is when a habitat that has not been previously inhabited by organism. Kailan nangyayari yan? Okay? Nangyari yan, for example, pag may volcanic eruption. Kapag sumabog yung vulkan, nag-flow yung lava, this would practically kill, destroy all species in the area. Okay? And after that volcanic eruption, primary succession would happen. So pioneer communities would colonize the area. It would start from bacteria, it would start from fungi, from mosses, from bryophytes, and then until it would eventually develop into climax community. So yun yung primary succession. Primary succession not only can happen sa volcanic eruption. Example, in glacial retreats. Pag nagkaroon ng glacial retreats, for example, in this figure, ito ang typical photo to visualize climate change. These are same areas. Itong nasa taas ay nakuha noong 1941 na picture. Nasa baba was taken 2004. And as you can see, yung ice ay nag-melt na. So there's now glacial retreat. And when this happens, again, there might be pioneer succession that would happen. Okay? This is another figure. Take note, yung puro ice ay invaded na by grasses. Okay? Same ano rin to, same area in Alaska. And one typical example, this is a very common example, a classic example of ecological succession, yung volcanic eruption ng St. Helens. Mount St. Helens ay located sa Washington State in the US and it erupted noong 1980. Ngayon, you would see some species thriving now in Mount St. Helens, but ito yung ano niya, yung photo niya. So nag-flow dyan yung lava. So of course it killed practically all species. And nung pumustok siya noong 1980, 1984, they have seen primary communities inhabiting the area, one species. And then this one in 1986, same, only one species are present. And then you have three species noong 1989. And makikita ka na ng mga flowers, mga usually lower plants. And then 17 species noong 1994. And then 18 species in 2001. So as you can see, there is again change in the species composition. And in 2007, the plant cover actually increased to 77%. All right, so here you would see from 1980 to 2007, changes in the type of species colonized the area. Therefore, you are seeing ecological succession. Also in the Philippines, just recently, nagkaroon ng eruption ng Taal volcano. If you recall that, nasa pandemic, early in the pandemic, saka patapos ng pandemic. And then, yung Taal volcano, by the way, the Taal volcano is the caldera type, the one that we are referring to the volcano. It's just a small volcano in the larger caldera na type ng volcano. Now, this Taal nag-erupt siya, of course, it killed organisms in there. So, nagkaroon ng colonization of primarily the pioneer species. Kaya kinikwento ko sa inyo last time, when it happened, a lot of scientists are really interested, not only geologically, but also biologically speaking, because there might be succession that will eventually happen in the area. So we need to document it for the data that we need, okay? Especially if this volcanic eruption is happening frequently in the Philippines. So also in Mount Pinatubo erupted 1991. I don't know kung buhay na kayo noon, pero it erupted. And ngayon, kapal na yung vegetation sa area. Okay, but previously, of course, we don't expect much vegetation, even shrubs or grasses. But now we are seeing shrubs and grasses thriving. Okay, and this is again ecological succession. Now, the second type of succession ay tinatawag nating secondary succession. This is when new ecosystem develops after an existing ecosystem is disturbed. So we're referring to an existing ecosystem and then na-disturb and then nagkaroon ng secondary succession. We are not referring to an area not inhabited by species. So for example, in here, this is an agricultural land. So when you leave, for example, agricultural land, it will eventually undergo secondary succession. So this would happen. So for example, ganyan lang siya. And then there would be invasion of lower plants, grasses, particularly. And then this will become shrubland and eventually become a forest. Okay, and this is an example of secondary succession. Why? Because the initial ecosystem was destroyed and new ecosystem develops. Okay. Now, in studying ecological succession in community ecology, ano ang kanyang relevance? Okay. It is relevant highly in ecological restoration. So for example, when you restore ecosystem, you have to take note of pioneer species. Okay, so for example, there you would like to reforest an area. Okay, huwag kang magtanim dyan ng mga puno which are considered climax species. Okay, for example, yung mga dipterocarps kaagad. Okay, you start with pioneer species like mga ficus, okay, mga tibig. I don't know if you're familiar with this type of trees, and they're considered pioneer species. Okay, and this will promote other species to colonize the area eventually. So it would facilitate other tree species to be planted in the area naturally. Okay. So in this figure, you would see the mean algal growth of 5 algal species along rock intertidal zones in California. This is from one study. And you can see here the time, okay, particularly the month. The letters pertain to the first letter of the month. So they first studied September, October, November, December, January, February, March, until several months after. And then the y-axis pertains to the mean percentage cover. Okay, and they have listed 5 algal species. And from here, we can see what are species that are early species, successional species, or late successional species. So, in this example, ano ang early successional species? Hello? Ano yan? Natutulog na ba? Siesta time na ba natin?
Sir, sir,
Yes.
ano po yung tinanong ninyo? Medyo mahina po yung boses niyo sa akin.
Kamusta yung aking audio sa mga iba? Am I audible? O yan, lalapit ko na yung mic ko. Can you
Ayun po,
hear
sir,
me?
mas okay na po.
O yun. Para kung nagbibidyo okay dito. My question is, from this example, what do you think is the early successional species? Tagal ko nagsasalita.
Ganun po, sir. I'm not sure po, pero yung ulva species po, kasi yung starting point niya po is umabot po agad siya sa between 60 and 70. Yung percentage niya po, nag-peak quickly, then tsaka lang po siya nag-decline after, parang pag matatapos na pa yung early succession.
Okay. So, what are late successional species?
Yung ano po,
Doon na po si
Gigartina
Gianan. Wala na ba akong
canaliculata.
estudyante? Sino pa pong pwedeng sumagot? What are late successional species?
Yung Gigartina canaliculata po.
Okay.
Kasi po, nag-show po siya ng sa una po, mababa po yung abundance niya. Then, nag-increase po and nag-dominate po ng late stages na po.
Okay, that's correct. So, Degertina canaliculata at saka yung Gelidium coulteri. These are species that are considered late successional species. Again, yung example ko sa inyo, yung sinasabi ko kanina, that this concept of ecological succession is very important in ecological restoration. So knowing what are the pioneer species or early successional species, you can actually promote the restoration of the ecosystem. So wag kang magtanim, for example, or mag-introduce ng mga late successional species when you want to restore the area. Okay? In ecological restoration, you always have to remember, dapat sila ay right species, okay? Right area, right? At saka right timing. So kunwari magkakaroon ka ng mangrove restoration. I don't know if you're familiar, pero ano yung common mangrove na tinatanim na mga species ng mangrove? Hindi kayo familiar? Are you familiar with Rhizophora?
Yes po.
Kasi di ba yung Rhizophora, sila yung may mga pneumatophores, yung mga prop roots.
Yes po, sir.
Yan. Rhizophora species are mangrove species, correct? But hindi sila pwedeng itanim at hindi sila mabubuhay if they are being planted sa seaside. Diba ang mangrove, alam natin, ay brackish. So pwedeng nasa sea area at nasa terrestrial area, okay, ng marine environment. So they would thrive mostly doon sa land side, sa terrestrial side ng mangrove area. Ibang species ang pwedeng itanim doon sa seaside ng mangrove ecosystem. So ang sinasabi ko, you have to restore an ecosystem using right species, right location, and right timing. Okay? So, ayan, katulad dito. For example, nagkaroon ng oil spill sa intertidal zone sa California. So if you want the intertidal zone to recover from the oil spill, if you have this knowledge that the early successional species are ulva species, you have to first introduce ulva species. Okay, ganun po. This is another figure from a study about mga seagrasses. And there are 3 species in here: Syringodium, Salacia, tsaka Rhizophytic algae. Makita nyo that uh, the Syringodium would be the first to colonize the area. And then, yung mga last ay yung mga Thalassea. So if you want to recover seagrasses sa isang marine ecosystem, for example, nagkaroon ng mining sa area, tapos ang taas ng sedimentation, nasira yung seagrasses. If you know this, you have this data about succession, and you know that ang first na pwede mag-colonize ay mga Syringodium at saka itong mga Penicillus na type ng seagrasses, you will introduce these early species first. And they would promote late successional species. Now, in ecological succession, there are 3 mechanisms. First is the facilitation model, when pioneer species modify the environment na naging suitable siya for later successional species. So it would facilitate the other species to colonize the area. Okay? So ipopromote niya, it would change the existing condition so that the later species can colonize the area. So they may alter the substrate, they may promote soil formation as mentioned earlier, and other species can colonize the area. The second one is inhibition model. In here, the initial species modify the environment so that it would not be suitable for the late successional species. So hindi siya magpo-promote, but rather it would inhibit other species to colonize. And the third model is tolerance model. Sa tolerance model, the initial stage of succession is not only made up of pioneer species, but also made up of the adults or the species of mga late successional species. Okay? So, pwede siyang magkaroon ng ganitong figure. So, as you can see here, sa facilitation model, itong species A would change the environment so that the species B can colonize the area. And species B would modify the area so that the species C can colonize the area. So that is facilitation. Contrastingly, in inhibition, that's not the case. Kasi the species A will inhibit the growth of the species B and the species C, mga later successional species. And the tolerance model, so the initial stage would not only made up of the pioneer species, be made up of the late successional species also. So hindi mo makita ang pioneer species in this area only or in this stage only. You may see them in this stage or at the climax community. Okay, so that's the tolerance model. And then this is the process of colonization. So first, there is a space available for colonization, and then pioneer species can establish or the late successional species can establish also depending on the situation. They can modify the environment, and the species may undergo facilitation, tolerance, or inhibition, and this would eventually lead to climax community. Again, climax community are the stable community. Usually they are made up of forest in the environmental condition. However, again, I've mentioned they may still be subjected to disturbance. Okay? Hindi sila indefinitely magpa-persist even with disturbance. Okay? For example, nung pumunta kami sa Bukidnon, I've seen the destruction caused by Typhoon Pablo. And we're talking here of primary forest, very stable community, forest community of trees. But still, a lot of these trees were toppled down because of the Typhoon Pablo. And when that happens, that is a disturbance, it may cause other species to colonize the area. Okay, so after a disturbance, the space is available again for colonization. So there is a cycle that may happen in the process. And ecological succession would happen again, okay, after a disturbance. So yan yung community ecology. I think that's the last slide. Any questions?
Wala po.
I will stop my PowerPoint presentation. Meron ba kayong ano nun? Copy nung table kanina? Wala. Yan yung palang tinanong sa akin ni Piskiza. Yeah, any questions or concerns? Hindi nyo pa ginawa yun, no? Yung computation ng index of diversity.
Hindi pa po.
Sige, yun na lang gagawin nyo mamaya. Wait, let me just... Yeah, questions? Lahat ba kayo pala? Yeah.
Excuse me po,
Yes.
sir. Ask ko lang po, ano po yung magiging schedule po natin for finals po?
Teka lang, mahina pala yung aking audio.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Tanong ko lang po, paano po yung magiging schedule po natin for finals po?
And we'll wait for the memorandum from the university registrar. Pero nasa school calendar yun.
Yung quiz po nito, sir, kailan po? Since natapos na po natin. Next meeting na rin po, pagbalik po natin.
Yes.
Okay po. Thank you po.
Wait lang. Ano pala yung boses ko? Parang nasa tabo. Okay. Mrs. Binko, the 30 ay last day natin ng klase. I mean, sa university, of course, Tuesday, Thursday kayo. 31, we will not meet. Okay? 31. Hindi po tayo mag-meet. Wait lang. Ayun pala. Mic test, mic test. Ayan. So, 31, we will not meet. Yun ay considered as asynchronous na. So, yung mga pupunta ng probinsya or magta-travel dahil Holy Week, Wala nang pasok ng 31. The deans requested na i-move yung klase ng 31 sa 26. Kasi 26, 'di ba? As you recall, yung 26 ay asynchronous dapat. Pero nag-request to change the asynchronous from 26 to 31. So 31 we will not meet. Ang next meeting na natin ay April 7. So sa April 7 kayo mag-quiz ng community ecology. Okay?
Okay po, sir.
Yeah. And then yung submission ng lab report about the flies ay sa April 7 na lang din. Kasi I don't want to check soft copy na lab reports. Kasi nahirapan ako mag-annotate at magbigay ng matanda na kasi ako kaya kailangan ng printout ng hard copy. Hindi ka tulad nyo na magsulat kayo sa mga tablets nyo. I'm not used to writing dun sa mga tablet.